Blessed love.
Blessed love.
Give thanks again for those who have come through. Give thanks to the showers of blessings that are falling at this moment. As we begin, I officially greet you in the name of Hon.Priest Selassie first. I am, as most will know, the Hon.Priest Isaac, and I am an official certified priest of the Ethiopia Africa Black International Congress Church of True Divine Salvation. Now, even before I go too far into the evening's proceedings, I have a few apologies to make for the absence of number one, well, not our master of ceremony as such, because the documentary master of ceremony is here, but our MC, who was to be here to open the proceedings. And because I officially made that known while advertising it, I just found that it was important to just apologize for his absence, as well as Elder Herokuti, who just spoke to me a moment ago on the phone, and it seems as if the distance where he is at the moment would not permit him to be here on the time that he would like to be here. So, as you're stuck with me alone, it's not really a bad package. So I'm thankful again for at least your presence. Now, officially this evening, I am launching two of my more recently released DVD documentaries. One entitled The Master of Ceremonies, The Divinity of Emperor Haile Selassie I, and the other entitled Seven, The Divinity of the Honorable King Emmanuel Charles Edwards. Now I must say, no matter how long this lecture that I'm going to give now, which is basically a lecture entitled Rastafari and Astronomy, no matter how long it takes, I'm not going to take 2 hours. To be honest, I officially had structured maybe a 45-minute to an hour presentation. But because of the absence of my first speaker and even the MC, I will take a little extra bite if necessary, and I believe it will be necessary, out of the time that we've already paid for. But no matter what I say tonight, no matter how far I may go, believe me, the information would not be even 1/10 of what you would gather if you take the time to sit and absorb the documentaries that we have put together. Now, even before I begin, I would say a quick thing on both documentaries, because as you would know, as I just said, I'm a priest of the Ethiopia Africa Black International Congress. I'm a Rastafari. I'm a Rastafari by choice, and I consider that I'm a Rastafari by nature. And what I notice within my own realms and my own outlook is that knowledge is extremely vast. So much so that I consider that if an individual is to take up a tradition, especially if it's a spiritual walk and you are connecting yourself with the supreme being or the divine essence that has everything in motion. If an individual is to take up a specific way or tradition, what people may call religion, I would believe that through facts and proof, you should be able to at least show to an audience, at least another individual, some proper understanding of comprehension of why you think the way you think. As I was saying to some young children yesterday, if you observe the sciences, most of the sciences have at the end of their expression, the word or the term, logics, logical. For example, biological, astrological, physiological. Why? Because we're dealing with science. And science is supposed to be something that is factual or logical. Logics. So that is why even when I was small, the old people would say, speak logically to me. What's the logics behind of that? Meaning that we are the facts. Give me the proof. Show me some evidence. So when I put together these DVD documentaries, specifically the Master of Ceremony and Seven, the Master of Ceremony came first and Seven came after. I took the time and I did my research, and believe me, this is not overnight research. It took years of looking into different aspects, especially, I would say, I do dare say, especially in the documentary 7, I take the time to explain the mechanics of the sun. I won't be doing that tonight, but I took the time to explain the rotation of the sun from the equator of the sun to the pole of the sun, and give a proper understanding of why in the ancient times those of the ancient kingdoms would revere the sun. Now, we never worshipped the sun. Oh yeah, they have people that do worship the sun. Some of us would be surprised that modern day Christendom is sun worship to the highest extent, although the followers of such would accuse other people of worshiping the sun. But because we comprehended or we understood the value of the sun and how it represented the Creator, we would revere the sun, and the sun played a very important part of not only our physical existence, but of our understanding of theology. In the book of Malachi, the last book in the Old Testament, there's a quotation that says, in the last days, the sun of righteousness shall arise with healing powers in his wings. And many people would take that scripture and apply it to the Messiah or the Christ. Now that is correct. But if you read that properly, it doesn't say the S-O-N of righteousness shall arise. It actually says the S-U-N, the Son of righteousness shall arise with healing powers inside of his wings. Now that S-U-N is capitalized, showing you that it is specifically identifying someone. What do you call it in English? A proper noun. If it was speaking about just the sun, it would have said, and in that day the sun, common S-U-N. But it's speaking of a human being, an individual, and that is why it's capital S-U-N. Meaning that this person that shall come represents the sun. He's not the sun, neither do he have wings with healing powers, but all of this is symbolism. Now this is one of the main things that we as a people have lost. We have lost the comprehension of symbolism. So even down to your Bible, it's a symbolic book. It's filled with hidden meanings That is because that's the book most of us would use. But if you were to read the Quran, it's filled with hidden meanings. If you were to read the Popol Vuh, if you were to read the Rig Veda, if you were to study the hieroglyphs, everything is deeply symbolic. And if you lose the comprehension of symbolism, you're going to lose the essence of what you are reading. Because even in the New Testament, if I'm not mistaken, it's Galatians chapter 4. If it's not Galatians, it's Ephesians, where St. Paul says that the scriptures of Abraham and Sarah and Hagar, he specifically points out that story. He says that it is an allegory. It's right there in the New Testament. That the story of Abraham and Sarah and Hagar, according to him, is an allegory. Now, what's an allegory? An allegory brings us back to symbolism, what you would call esoteric writings. But an allegory specifically is symbolism, but it is usually connected with song and dance. An allegory. Esoteric science now, to be esoteric alone is a science. It's symbolic science. But because we have been beaten almost to our death, we have lost many of our marbles. So if you feel we've just lost our name, if you think we've just lost our language, we've lost many other things. The fact that we've lost our culture means that name and language comes with culture. Song and dance comes with culture. What you eat and drink comes with culture. So the fact that you say these people have lost their culture, you could definitely put all of that with it as well. So now, we as a people, even if you were to approach the regular person and mention anything about symbolism, they may look at you strange. What you're talking about? This and that. You don't believe in that. Because we've been hit in the head. Eh? You know that story? We've been hit in the head and rendered dead. Now, let me practice this device here. Okay, perfect. Bam. Next picture. On. I got it. This. Now, as I said, the sun. You see, the sun is considered the life giver. And in all practical terms, this is something that we cannot really deny. Because the sun now is really the driving force of the solar system. That's why it's called a solar system, because it's the system of the solar. It's the system of the sun. The sun is the chief being within the system. That is why the planets closer or closest to the sun would revolve and rotate at a higher speed or velocity than those that are behind down the line. So Mercury would go around the sun faster than Pluto. Not because of the distance alone, you know, why it's taking so long, but it's further away from the electromagnetic energy of the sun. It's very unique, you know. This is why planet Earth is considered to be an oasis in the solar system, meaning that it's the perfect place to live. Why? Because of its size in comparison to the size of the sun and its proximity to the sun. So in other words, the sun supposedly is 93 million miles from the planet Earth. So we are supposed to understand that if the Earth was just a little bit further away from the sun, maybe it would be uninhabitable. It would be an ice zone. If the Earth was just a little bit closer to the sun, it would be like Venus. hot like, you know what I'm talking about. But if you check the planet that we're on, there's still places on this planet that a human being can hardly live. Because the ice never goes away. I'm talking about the poles. And even on the equator, at certain spots, it's extremely hot. So even in this oasis now, you still have different climatic conditions to deal with. You're dealing with the sun. Now you'll be surprised, even my voice coming to your ears has a lot to do with the energy of the sun. Every plant that you see, even the machine and technology, whatever it is that you observe, if the sun was just to take a day off, everything would just come to a standstill. I could imagine how the planets would just slow down and stop. Because the battery has just locked off. So it's not about kneeling and praying to the sun. But the ancients always revered this orb in the heavens because we understood the mechanics of it and we understood the solar biological aspect of the sun. The sun, Sol, Solomon, Sol, S-O-L, Aman. Because for those who were at the lecture at the Ma'at Center a few evenings ago, when we were talking about the creation of the black hole, you know, some of you were not there, but it was a good lecture that you would have liked to have taken a sip of. You know, the black hole. We were showing that when Ptah plunged into Naunet, he came out as Amun Ra, Ra is the sun, Ra Amun. As I said, the sun, Sol, Ra and Sol, Solomon, Ra Amun, Solomon. So the term Sol relates to the sun. And this is why even in religion, the Christ being is always seen with the sun behind his head. They call it an halo. But halo means the sun. Because the human being that is to be the Christ figure, listen to me good, you know. The human being that is to be the Savior and the Messiah is supposed to be a literal human manifestation of the mechanics of the sun. Not the hotness of the sun and the brightness of the sun. The sun has a mechanical make-up. I'm not going to deal with it tonight. That's on the documentary 7. I'll be dealing with something else. I couldn't deal with all of that. We'll be here until the sun comes up. And this is Britain. I don't know when it's coming up. What you said about Haiti, brother?
It's called a deity. The sun's deity.
The sun is a deity.
No, the sun's deity.
What's the sun's deity?
That mechanical thing you're talking about.
Not necessarily.
All right.
The mechanics of the sun, basically, as I said, like the earth has mechanics. The earth rotates and revolves. The same thing with the sun. The sun actually rotates. The equator of the sun rotates at a different pace than the poles of the sun. In fact, the sun has electromagnetic field lines. And the polar magnetic field line of the sun rotates once every 37 days, while the equator magnetic field line of the sun rotates once every 28 days. And because of that specific rotation, it encourages the sun to create sunspots after a specific period of time, approximately 11.5 years. And what is unique about that is that when you study the sunspots coming from the sun and you see them on a computer graph, it perfectly resembles what is known as the feathered snake, which is an ancient theology. The snake with wings, the feathered snake, Quetzalcoatl, the feathered snake. In the ancient Mayan kingdom, we considered the feathered snake to be the human manifestation of God, a snake with wings. Of course, many people go, oh, I'm not into that sort of stuff there. You know, we don't believe in no snake with wings. I just gave you a scripture that said the sun had wings. Malachi said the sun was rising with wings. And if you are to look into anciency, the only correlation you can get with the sun and wings is the feathered snake.
the snake with wings, that is said to be the manifestation of the Son, the S-U-N, and of the Son, the S-O-N, quote unquote, of God, meaning the Savior or the Messiah. This is mathematics. It has to do with if you are mathematically sound enough to figure it out. Because of course, you know, when you hear about snakes, again, this is symbolism, because I know the snake is going to turn people off. Oh, snake, you know. Adam and Eve and the apple and the snake. Yeah, but Christ said, as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, so shall I be lifted up. What do you mean, like what? The snake? Yeah, in the same way, Moses lifted up the snake in the wilderness, I shall be lifted up. And the story of Moses lifting up a snake, when he lifted up the snake, all the sick people looked on the snake that Moses lifted up, and they were healed. And this is why even in the medical fraternity up to today, you see the two snakes wrapping around each other, and at the top the wings are spread out. And the doctor tells you, come in, I have healing in here. You never ask him, well, what these snakes they have there on the pole, what they're all about. You know? But this is ancient theology that have been stolen, even in this modern time, to represent what they say that they're representing. Now, what we're going to do, basically this evening, I'm going to take the time to go into not just the sun, but the sun's relation with the zodiac belt. I'm not here to read no one's sign. This is not the horoscope, and it's not an astro misguide. What we'll be looking at, basically, is the heavens declare the glory of God. The heavens declare the glory of God. The firmament showeth his handiwork. Day unto day uttereth speech, and night unto night showeth knowledge. And there is no speech nor language where the voice is not heard. Stop right there. That's the 19th Psalms of the Bible. It says the heavens declare the glory of God. Okay, we know that. Pretty sun, pretty moon, pretty stars. Okay. The firmament showeth his handiwork. Oh yeah, we know that. Look how pretty it is, and he can put the ball up there and it stays up there. Up where? Up there. Okay. The earth is up there too, you know. Some people don't understand we're in space. Out there in space, but this is in space too. If you're on the moon, you will say, oh look, the earth down there in space. We're all in space. So all of this is a part of the space, the Star Wars as such. But he goes on to say, day unto day uttereth speech. Well, last you go and they listen to the heavens and say, let me hear what it says. Because it says day unto day, meaning every day the heavens is talking to you. Day unto day uttereth speech, and night unto night showeth knowledge. And there is no speech, nor language, where the voice of the heavens is not heard. Meaning now, whether you're speaking French, Espanol, Assalamu alaikum, English, whatever language you're speaking, it doesn't deter you from understanding the language that's coming from the heavens. This is why we know this is the original book. This is the original manuscript. Because even the line of books I mentioned a moment ago, basically they're all solar books. I just quoted a few scriptures from the Bible, and basically they were all astronomical scriptures. Sun and wings and the heavens declare, and the halo behind. Astronomy. Solar science. Night unto night showeth knowledge. Again, there is no speech, no language where this message cannot be understood. That's the point. And as I said, this message is crystal clear. Now, what I want to highlight before we go too deep is the reason why I isolated the 12 constellations of the Zodiac belt. They're really 13, but for the moment I'll deal with the 12 known and understood constellations. Now, most of us are familiar with these constellations. As I said, the horoscope. Real horror, you know, the way that they interpret it. And what is so symbolic about them, there are 88 known constellations in the heavens. But there are 12 constellations wherein the sun, the moon, and the planets, not the stars, the sun, the moon, and the planets make their way through. Meaning that the sun now, for example, on the 23rd day of September, we would know that as an equinox in the northern hemisphere, we would refer to it as the fall equinox. But really in the southern hemisphere, it is the spring equinox. And I'm just going to go down a little alley quickly just to show you something. This is how the colonializer deals with our brain. As you would know, even the previous time I did a lecture in this building here, not this specific hall, I was speaking about the power of thought. And I took time to explain why when you are decapitated, or hand decap, that's when your hand has been decapitated. Most of us, our left hand is decapitated. You may say, no, my hand is here. Yeah, it's there, but how there is it there? See, I can hardly clip my, you know, it's a shame. But I'm learning to write with my left hand though, because I take time to practice the use of my quote-unquote left hand. I write with my left hand. Well, if I have to write you a note, I wouldn't do that. But I practice to write with my left hand. So I have two right hands now. You're not just the only right hand. This hand can write too. You know, it may sound funny, but as I said previous time, I can clearly recall when I was going to what we call primary school, a teacher punishing a child for writing with his left hand. Now why would Miss Joseph do that? It's alright, she's passed on. Why would she do a thing like that? Because somewhere in her mind, she was doing justice. She didn't think she was wronging him. Maybe she went through the same thing. And she was an old lady. So I could imagine she was just coming from the brinks of slavery, where we were taught to utilize this side of the body, because obviously when you utilize this side of the body, you activate the right side of your brain and your spirituality begins to grow. This is just the fact. As I said before, you don't know no bird that's right wing. No pigeon flying around right wing. They wouldn't even be able to fly just because they discard one wing. Now the reason why I went there is to bring you back to Virgo. Virgo's left-handed, no? I just said that on the 23rd day of September, it's an equinox. That means day and night are equal. It's the changing of one season to the other. And if you ask the regular student or even person, what does the 23rd of September represent, they will tell you the fall equinox. And that is not totally correct. It's half true. It's the fall equinox in the northern hemisphere. It's the spring equinox in the southern hemisphere. As simple as that may seem, you know, we don't understand we're dealing with a killer that has well designed his educational system for you to regurgitate that without even thinking about the people in Peru. and thinking about the people in Chile and say, you know, in Brazil, it's not the beginning of fall, it's the beginning of spring. So when your leaves are dropping off the tree, their flowers are blooming. So the 23rd of September also represents life. It doesn't only represent fall or something that's dying. And again, it sounds simple. But if you're going to educate a child, you teach them the whole story. Because many of us have grown up thinking that the 21st of June is summer. But it's winter somewhere else. Oh, it's almost winter now. But it's going to be summer somewhere else. Left braid, right braid. We totally forget one side. Northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere. We totally forget one side. So what happens now? As I said, these constellations from, you got Virgo, Leo the lion, what they call Cancer, Gemini the twin, Taurus and Capricorn, and you could go round and round. Once per month, listen to me good, once per month the sun would be lodged in one of these constellations. Now because I want you to clearly comprehend what I'm saying, we're going to take a little time to break down the academics of this. Now it's obvious what a constellation is, basically 101 from scratch. What a constellation is, it is a group of stars that give an impression of a picture specifically that makes sense. So for example, this is the Scorpio constellation. I will show you a bigger picture, but let's deal with this for now. This is the Scorpio constellation. And the reason why I pointed that is because anyone that is studying astronomy will tell you that is I think the easiest constellation to see. It's fairly large and it demands a specific space in the sky. So if someone says, look at this, and then show you the Scorpio constellation, more than likely you will pick it up right away. Constellations like Virgo and even Leo, you'll be looking and I don't see it. And I don't see it until your neck starts to hurt you and you wow. And you look again. But this is very easy to see. Very beautiful constellation. And that's the Scorpio. And it does look like a scorpion. It has its mouth open and everything. So you would have now, in September, around the 20th to the 21st day, 21st, 23rd day, the sun lodged in Virgo. September, October, the sun will be in Libra. November, the sun will be in Scorpio. December, Capricorn, where are you? September, October, November, December, January, Capricorn is Sagittarius is December, pardon me. Capricorn, January, Aquarius, down the line, Pisces, the different months. Now what it is with the sun, remember this is 360 degrees. Follow me good, you know. 360 degrees. And I want you to get this good. Remember we're on a planet. Now although everything seems stable, this planet is moving. Apparently these stars are not moving. The sun is not really moving. It's rotating, but it's not going anywhere. So when we use a phrase like, the sun is rising, that is relatively true, but absolutely a lie. Because the sun is not really rising. Sounds simple, but it's good to know these things. Because any old body can't fool you off. The sun is not necessarily rising. But because of where we are, and the rotation of our planet, plus the atmosphere that we are in, we get the impression, there is keywords, as if it appears as if this sun is coming up. It appears as if, oh, there it is above our head. It appears as if it's setting behind the mountains or dipping down into the ocean. That's how it looks from our perspective. And if you are a real scientist, you need to be able to see the difference between reality and what appears to be real. Because in an eclipse, the moon a lunar eclipse or a solar eclipse, whatever it is, the point is, during the time of an eclipse, the moon and the sun, because they appear to be the same size, they will cross each other. And the moon will block out the light of the sun. The little old moon. The moon is supposed to be smaller than the earth. And the sun is supposed to be way bigger than anything else. As a matter of fact, the sun is 99% of the mass of the whole solar system. So all the other planets and everything else in the solar system is like 1% of the solar system, and the sun is 99% of such. It's like most of them African countries, where 1% own 99% of the wealth. And the 99 own 1% sharing it amongst themselves. So the sun is 99% of the mass of the galaxy. The solar system, pardon me. And the planets make up the other 1%. So obviously the sun is very big. But because of the distance of the sun, in relation to, listen good, the size of the moon and its distance from the earth, it gives an impression as if the sun and the moon from here are the same size. That's obviously the hand of the Creator working. And that's why now, if you take an American 25 cents, which is about the same size as the 10p. But if you take an American 25 cents, a quarter, they would call it, and you hold it arm's length to a full moon, they would be almost the same size depending on the length of your arm. But the average length of an arm, the 25 cents, would cover the full moon perfectly. Now that's not by mistake. Freemasons crafted these pennies and cents that we spend. So it's not by mistake George Washington, you know there's a face in the moon. It's not by mistake when you hold up George Washington little quarter to the moon that it's the same size. The same way that the moon eclipses the sun is the same way that the 25 cents or the quarter would eclipse the moon. And some will say, oh, you know, you're just joking around. Is that so? 4 quarters make a dollar. The moon has first quarter, second quarter, last quarter, full moon. And this is why I said at the beginning of this lecture, if we want to throw away symbolism, it's up to us. Because those that have enslaved us for a long time, and it's still going on, they thrive in symbolism. And even if we don't check for it, we check for it because subconsciously we are loaded with symbolism, specifically from the heavy vision. Now, if you observe again, the sun, remember I just explained, the sun is not necessarily moving. The sun is not going to the north in the quote-unquote summer and coming down in the south, but it appears so. And all of that has to do with the Earth's rotation and the Earth revolving around the same sun, and gives the impression of what we see the sun doing. And because of that, we get the impression as if the sun is moving slowly but surely from one constellation in one month to another constellation in the other month to another constellation in the other month. That's how it seems. Watch the moon in the night. The moon also goes through these very same 12 constellations. Remember, we have 88 of them in the heavens. Afterwards, we're taking questions. Remember, we have 88 of them in the heavens. So if we have 88 of these constellations in the heavens, just write it down, the questions. And we have 12 of which stand out as the path for the sun, the moon, and the planets. There must be something unique about these constellations wherein they travel. Now obviously, again, these are literally going across the sky. So at any given time, 6 of these constellations are above you in an arc, while the other 6, you could say, are on the other side of the world. But the earth is spinning around. So now, here we have, again, the sun located in the Virgin constellation, specifically on the 23rd day of September. We're really taking questions at the end, but I'll give the princess a chance to ask me what you're going to ask me. You're asking?
I'm over to the end of these 2 questions.
It's 2 questions. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to answer a question when before I'm done, I'm sure. Okay. The Virgin constellation. That's unique to it, man. Understand what I say, no? Even the planets. Follow me good, you know. This is the design of the Creator. That you have the sun taking a specific path is deep, man. Because you see the ecliptic belt, I'm just going to say this, I hope you can figure it out. The ecliptic belt has a 23.5-degree angle to that of our equator. There is a celestial equator. So this is why the sun sometimes is at the north and sometimes is at the south. It has to do with the 23.5-degree angle. You don't necessarily need to fully comprehend that to understand what I'm going to say now. So this is the Virgin constellation referred to as Virgo. And my rendition of it really, these should really be connected. Well, this is what I got. These should really be connected. If you watch the DVD 7, you would see them connected properly. It gives you a better outlook. Because what you have now, you have the Virgin's head, or Virgo, that's her head. This is her upper body here. You could see she actually has the pronouncement of hips. That's the extra one here. And these are her legs. There's usually another line drawn here by some astronomers to represent something similar to a skirt. And she has her hand up in the air. It's called the Virgo constellation. And again, around that same time, you would see her lodged literally here, inside of this constellation, as if it's a woman pregnant with the sun. And keep in mind, you know, you cannot really see this with your naked eyes in the day. There are techniques of seeing this. You got to watch the sun before it rises. Or if you have some sort of computer software like Starry Night, you can see it on a different level. But obviously in the night, you could watch the moon and you could see the planets going through these very same 12 Zodiac constellations. Now what happens? The sun, as I said, inside of the Virgin, pregnant with the sun, literally moves slowly, because the sun, again, 360 is the cycle. The sun moves 1 degree every 72 years. It's a mystic vibration. But as it moves, and that has to do with the age that we're in, Pisces age or Aquarius age. But as far as from one constellation to the other, it takes approximately 30 days or approximately a month. Okay, good. So the sun will slowly but surely come out of the Virgin constellation, literally, as if it's coming out of her womb, going down, because it's going southwards now, going down the ecliptic belt, heading towards the other constellation. The moon now, once per month, because remember the moon circles the earth once per month, although the sun appears to do its movement once per year. So every month, the moon will visit this constellation. The moon visits every constellation once per month in its movement. Fair enough. Good. Now in the book of Revelation, Revelation chapter 12, John the Divine said that he was on the isle of Patmos, and he said he looked up into the heavens and he saw, you see where he looking? Up into the heavens. He didn't say I was on a mountain looking down in the valley. I hovered over Jerusalem and I saw. No. I looked up into the heavens and I saw a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and on her head was a crown of 12 stars, 12 of them. And she was laying in travail, pregnant, ready to deliver a man-child who was to rule all nations. The story goes on to say, but there was a great red dragon standing before the woman, ready to devour this great ruler, this man-child that the woman was about to deliver. But like any good story or any good movie or book, obviously the dragon at the end did not prevail. Now, what I'm saying, first of all, the heavens declare the glory. I'm showing you what we just did was like a crash course in the academia of the zodiac belt and the motion of the sun, etc. But you can see from a realistic point of view that at a specific time of the year, because John the Divine and the other scientists, it's science they're dealing with, not religion or make-believe, a precise science. Yes, it has come down to us as make-believe and what do you feel? Feel. We are dealing with feeling here. Precise science. At a specific time of the year, springtime, or autumn if you live in England, but springtime at a specific place, this Virgo constellation is literally clothed with the sun. And during that same time, there will be some time within that month where the moon, although moving faster than the sun, will be found under her feet. That's just a fact. She, like the woman in general, was the zero, the first number, she is the beginning of this crown of 12 constellations, because the woman had a crown on her head of 12 stars, moon under her feet, and clothed with the sun. And remember, the story said that she was laying in travail. Now, as you could see, the constellation is already in this reclining position. And the way it's described is as if her legs are already open, as if to deliver a baby from her womb. And the sun itself actually takes that path and just comes through there every year, specifically during the time of September going into October. Facts. So when it says that she is laying there like a woman in travail, in pain, ready to deliver her man-child, as soon as the man-child is born, the dragon was there ready to attack the man-child. Now, as I said, this is the constellation now of Libra. And what Libra represents, okay, first of all, from the astrological aspect, September, October, around that time the sun would basically move slowly but surely and find itself lodged in the constellation of Libra. And you must understand, you know, that this mechanics will change over a period of time, because every 2,000 years, 2,160 years to be precise, we enter into a new age. And when you reach that time, new age, the sun's relationship to the constellations will change according to the month. You can put that down as a question if you didn't get that, and I'll refine it at the end. But what happened now in October, around such time, the sun will be lodged in the scale, Libra, which represents the scale. Now, in many courts, let me just see something here. In many courts, justice, high courts, whatever, you would see a symbol of maybe a woman, or there's a picture I missed it. Now I just noticed the picture I missed. But anyway, you'll see a woman, maybe with her scale. They usually have a blindfolded, and sometimes the scale is lopsided. But the point they're trying to give to you is that they're dealing with justice. I don't know what kind of, well, they're trying to tell you justice is blind, but I don't want no blind justice. That's our problem. We've been getting some blind justice for too long. We want some justice that can see what's going on. The point is, the scale is the symbol of a ruler, a balanced ruler, a ruler that will bring justice to his people or her people. That is the symbol or the meaning of the scale. So Libra in the heavens is seen as a scale. It's a very faint constellation too. You have to really know it to pick it up, but it's there. It's seen as a scale, and as I'm saying, it appears as if the Libra constellation is coming right out of the Virgin. Because when the sun leaves the Virgin's womb and goes between her legs, the sun takes its time and travels into the next constellation, which is the scale. Now let's follow the story again of Revelation, Constellation 12, Revelation 12. It begins again with the woman in the heavens, clothed with the sun, moon under her feet, crown on her head, 12 stars in travail to bring forward a man-child that is supposed to rule the nations. But it goes on to say that in front of the woman that was ready to bring forth this new being, something went wrong there. Okay, let me see something there. So I can't reverse this, my brother. Okay, fair enough. That's not what I wanted to do, but something went wrong. It's alright, it's alright. You have open minds, you can see what I'm saying. I just showed you the constellation of the Scorpio on a different picture. Something got slightly mixed up here, but it's alright. Because really, the next constellation is the Scorpio, or Scorpion, or Scorpius. Now, do you know that in the ancient time they referred to the Scorpion constellation as the Great Dragon? That's not the only constellation, you know. They have a few constellations that they have rebranded, renamed, and given them different identities. And only when you understand the science that can be found in the heavens, you could see why they played around. As I said, the constellation of Gemini is a man and a woman. Gemini today is two little boys. So obviously somebody didn't really go up, but someone stayed from here and manipulated our knowledge of the heavens, the original book, where we got all our inspiration from. We didn't have to turn no pages. We just looked up. Day unto day utter its speech. Night unto night show it knowledge. And we saw it all. We mapped the heavens. We could tell you how far this star is from this and how far this planet is from this. Venus. Venus the planet, you know. Venus the planet makes a 5-point star every 8 years. You think anybody can come and tell me anything about 5-point star is a demon star? I don't have no time to talk religion. And you little Freemason Illuminati dead talk. I said Venus, my brother. I don't have the time to play. Venus makes a 5-point star every 8 years. Don't feel low, it's just the passion in me, man. Every 8 years Venus makes a 5-point star. So it's science we're dealing with, not make believe. Black 5-point star. The R and lion symbol, the 8 represents the letter R. R is not a letter, you know. R is an ancient symbol, it stands for 80,000. That's what the R, what we call R, stands for. You know, deep stuff. So I'm showing you now, this is the tail of the Scorpio. You're trying to get away Scorpio, but it's alright. And the Scorpio now, literally, is the next constellation after the scale. And the Scorpio literally has its mouth open in front of the scale as if at any given moment it will just eat up the scale and chew it up. But you have to keep in mind, you know, I'm not just picking constellations at random and say, oh, this looks pretty here, look at this. Oh, let me grab this one, this looks like it fits the story. No. We're watching a process that was put into motion since the time of the creation. How positive can we get? Listen good, you know. So as I said now, the Scorpio constellation, which is the dragon, this is fitting the story in Revelation 12 perfectly. Because after the woman gave birth to the scale, or the divine balance ruler, the story said that there was a dragon just there in front of her waiting. That as soon as the scale born, it beat up the scale and chew up the scale and swallow the scale. And in the heavens, once you understand the movements of the heavens, this can clearly be seen. Now, although I haven't really reached to that point yet, but although I am speaking directly, as I made it clear from the beginning, for example, of the documentaries that I'm launching, The Master of Ceremonies, and the documentary 7. So obviously, I already came to a conclusion. And a lot of these, and that's another thing, you know. This doesn't just have a conclusion, you know. A lot of what we look at has multiple understandings. That's for sure. I want to get that clear. That's why I don't argue with people over things. Oh, that's not what it means. It could mean more than one thing. You know. But the point is that though, whether you come to the same conclusion as I or not, you cannot deny that this is deep. This is something that many of us have, I wouldn't say overlooked. Maybe if we overlooked it, we would see it. We underlook. Talk about it overlook, we underlook. You know, we don't see it properly. We need to overlook it. I say, yeah, I see it now. Because now, here it is. Revelation again, chapter 6. And as I said on the radio today, we're like creating a bridge from what we know to what we need to know. A bridge. I belong to a philosophy, right, that says in time we're going to take the Bible and throw it in the river. I know some of you may not agree with that, you know, but don't throw no stones at me, but I'm just telling you. So, I'm building a bridge here. I'm not trying to use the Bible to validate this, nor this to validate the Bible. But I'm building a bridge from what we are accustomed to what we are not accustomed to. But that's our custom too, as well. You understand? But Revelation 6 says now that when the first seal was opened, there was a man that came on a white horse. This is the dragon slayer now. And he said this man on the white horse was given a bow. And I would assume if he has bows, he has arrows too. And he says he was given a crown. And his mission was to go conquering and to conquer. Okay. Now, if we're going to continue to follow the storyline of the sky, after the Scorpio constellation, you have the constellation known as Sagittarius, which is an archer. Now, if you notice Sagittarius, this is the bow. This is his head. This is a little distorted too. I don't know how. You see, they're smart, you know. This is supposed to be the head, and he has a feather in his hand, but it's slightly distorted here, but it's okay. And he has on somewhat of a priestly, kingly garment. These are his legs. And that's the bow and arrow. And if you notice, he's pointing this straight at the scorpion. There was war in heaven. Believe it. But Revelation says he came on a white horse. He was given a bow. And he was given a crown. Now, to me, the fact that he was given a crown shows you that there's some kingly characteristics about this individual. Whether he was a literal king that sat as a king, because there are many kings that walk the earth that never sit down on the throne yet. Okay. But whenever he has a crown, now listen, this is how this is outstanding, man. Listen to how this is outstanding. Of the 88 constellations in the heavens, there are only 2 crowns. They have the southern crown, and this is the most southern of constellations in the zodiac belt. The Archer or Sagittarius. It's the most southern constellation. So when the sun reaches here, it begins to go northwards again. That is why when the sun is in Sagittarius around the 21st day of December, at that time is called the winter solstice in the northern hemisphere. If you know well, you see where it's pointed, this area right here. For those who are at the lecture at the Ma'at Center, right here is where the black hole of our galaxy is located. Right here. Right here where the arrow is pointed at. So that's why on the 21st day of December, when was it? 2012. It was the sun aligning with the earth and with the center of our galaxy. That's why it was that time, it was around this area of the heavens. Around the Archer constellation. This is science again. So when people say, oh, well, nothing happened that day, they could say what they want. I was up in the hills. And I could feel the energy that radiated that day. Of course, if you're driving, licking the lollipop, listening to rock and roll, you ain't gonna feel a thing because you're not in tune. Oh, nothing happened today, there's a heap of light. Yeah, well, that's you. But portals were open, and portals do open. You just gotta know when. So here we have now the archer. Came on a white horse, arrow, and he was given a crown. Sounds good. Only thing missing is the white horse. But then as I said now, I hope I have the right picture next. Let's go. Let me see what you have there next. Oh, perfect. Now, I got the pause. Oh boy. Anyway, because I can't reverse it. But it's okay. Maybe that's what I needed. if you know the constellation Capricorn, it was just on the board, but it went fast. You see, I'm working with some equipment here, learning it as such, but it's okay. I supposedly was born under the constellation, the sign of Capricorn, supposedly. I know why I say that, because the sun wasn't close to Capricorn, it was in the Archer, but next story altogether. But Capricorn has always been misrepresented as a goat. In fact, if you look at the Astro Misguide, and this is why it's a misguide. When the Greeks draw Capricorn, they draw Capricorn as a half goat and a half fish. Where did the fish come from? You know? Yes, Capricorn does look like a four-legged animal, it does. And it has a horn, a straight horn, like a unicorn. Unicorn, one horn. Capricorn. Capricorn is not a goat. And it may sound simple, but it's almost like you're driving down the road and there's a roadblock. We can't pass here. We gotta turn. Let's take a right turn. So you could imagine, if I thought Capricorn was a goat, if I like to myself, look, this book says that Capricorn was once considered a unicorn, then I wouldn't even be able to complete the story, because I would want to know how the goat fit in. But the Capricorn now, or the unicorn is considered a mythical animal. I've never seen a unicorn, but some tradition says that the unicorn is indigenous to Uganda. I'm sure some of you have at least heard. I've never seen it, with my eyes. But they will tell you, ancients will tell you that the unicorn does exist. But whether it exists or not, because even the Bible speaks about the unicorn and established like the horn of a unicorn. So where is this unicorn coming from? Because you have to keep in mind, that the heavens, you have to keep in mind the heavens. Here we have in the heavens a man with a bow and arrow. That's unique. A bow and arrow in the heavens. So where was this bow and arrow first invented? On earth? And then it got up there? The unicorn is portrayed in the heavens. Whether you think it's a real animal or not, it has been portrayed. The dragon was portrayed in the heavens. Whether you believe it's a real animal or not, but it was portrayed. So the unicorn now represents that white horse, that the man that will destroy the dragon shall come on. And how unique, the man was given a bow. He has his arrows, and the man was still given a crown. Alright. Remember again, although at this point, I'm not trying to give you the definition of everything, because there's certain things in life, in reality, what's going on here. There's certain things in existence you don't play it out for people. What happened here? It's not going. You don't play it out for people as such. I think we are smart enough, we are brilliant enough. What's going on here? Okay, here it comes. Okay. Took a while there. Sometimes you don't have to feed people or spoon feed people. You're supposed to be able to be sitting down and picking up, hey, but this is something here. And put one and one together. There's something missing here again too. I don't know why this is doing me this, but there's something dynamic missing here. I wonder if some of the pictures got misplaced somehow. Okay, fair enough. The picture I was supposed to show you before that, I don't know what happened. And that's a key picture too, very key picture.
Sorry, can you play? Can you play it out quicker and play it back again? Bang, 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 and then start from the beginning. Think you can do that? That's speculation.
Well, you can handle that while I talk, don't worry. It's okay. Okay, so while he's fiddling with that, we ain't got none here, right? So if you see what's after that, I don't know. But while he's fiddling with that, okay, this is the constellation of Hercules, so we get back to Hercules. And Hercules, I'm sure nobody here was born under the sign of Hercules because Hercules is not a zodiac belt constellation. So, fair enough. Remember now, the Capricorn. Oh, you're reversing. Okay, yeah. Come back to me. Right. You see? So you can look and see the one, the long horn. Which goat? Which goat? You know, has a long horn like that. Okay, fair enough. But go forward one more time for me. Let me see.
Forward.
Yeah, go forward one more time. Let me see if I somehow the pictures got mixed up with each other. Okay. That's something went wrong there. But go again. Let's go again. It's alright. Go again. Something went wrong. Okay. Alright, it's alright. Alright, you can leave it there. Leave it there for the time. It's alright. Leave it there. No problem. Alright. Well, there are a few pictures that I had there that apparently, I don't know, maybe in the transition they got lost. But I think by now you trust me. So at least I can explain myself. What it is, the Scorpio constellation, it's okay like that. I'll take it from here, no problem. Don't hot up your head, as we say. The constellation of Scorpio. What is outstanding about the constellation of Scorpio is that Scorpio itself, specifically, has another constellation standing on it. But the constellation that's standing on Scorpio is not considered an ecliptic belt constellation. But I will show you why. Now remember, what makes an ecliptic belt constellation is that it is a pathway for the sun, the moon, and the planets. That's like the outstanding definition of the ecliptic belt constellation. I think I know why they didn't come up. I think they were stored as JP, whatever you call that stuff, instead of the other stuff. Alright, fair enough. I don't know if you could see this here. That's the Scorpio. The Scorpio is a bit small, but that's the Scorpio constellation there. No, that's the biggest I didn't get on here. But at least you, I mean, is that bad? Palm oil, vitamin E, very good for your eyes if you can't see that there. As you can see, it's, you know, like a little snake. But what's outstanding is its mouth, the way that its mouth is just open there. And that's the constellation that follows the scale, giving this impression as if it would just eat up the scale at any moment. Okay, this is where we are. This might be a little more difficult to see. This constellation here is known as the serpent holder. You can see it? The serpent holder, or Ophi, what do you call it? Say that to me? Okay, that's good enough. I'll call it the serpent holder for the time. Now, what is outstanding about the serpent holder? Number one, it is a zodiac belt constellation. Why? Because when the sun leaves Libra, as it touches the Scorpion constellation, it also touches the right leg of the serpent holder. Do you know the constellation they call Aries the Ram? The sun doesn't touch it. It's just above the sun. When the sun passes through, it does not touch any of the stars in the Aries constellation, but Aries the Ram, is considered a zodiac belt constellation. But the sun touches the serpent holder, but it's not considered a zodiac belt constellation. Okay, let's watch the story here. The serpent holder is standing on the same scorpion. That's it here. It's standing on the same scorpion that is prepared to devour the scale that came out of the woman's womb. Remember that the scale represents the ruler, the balanced ruler. And the scorpion represents its enemy, the great dragon. Obviously, the woman is more than just a woman. The woman represents an idea. She represents a nation. She represents a civilization. She represents a culture. The dragon is more than just a crocodile. The dragon represents another uncivilization. The dragon represents a kingdom of wickedness and evil that is bent on destroying the product of the woman. So it's not necessarily a woman in the maternity ward trying to deliver a baby and this big lizard outside in the hallway waiting. No. It's much, much deeper than that. You know. So now what's happening here is that this individual here, the serpent holder, as you can see, he has this long rectangular shape and it's very big. This is one of the largest constellations. It just stretches across the sky. It looks like a tall man. And let me describe it. I'm going to describe it the way it has been described by astrologers. Because if I describe it and don't tell you that, you're going to tell me in Ebonic terms, for me something that. He is described as a tall man with a robe and a turban. Not my description, eh? Well, my description, because I agree. But I mean, you could see that. The triangle on his head, you can hear, represents the turban. You're looking hard at that. See, look, let me see what this man trying to tell you. Yeah, that's it. But what's standing out now is the reason why he's called the serpent holder is not because he's standing on the dragon, but he actually holding a serpent in his hand. He's holding a snake, barehanded. This tall man with his robe and his turban has a snake holding in his hand, a long, long snake with the snake all the way here. And yet still, he's standing on this scorpion. Okay, fair enough. Since I got that, in a sense, out of the way, Elder, we could just pull this back a few. Just a few, let me get back to Hercules now. The reason I didn't go to the Hercules point is because that point wasn't covered. And sometimes it's good to make the steps properly. Okay, good. So, if you understand now, no, one more time. Yeah, back to Hercules itself. You didn't see it good?
Well, coming to close there.
Okay, right. So you could spot it from there.
Yes.
Now the Hercules. You see the thing with the Hercules constellation. No Hercules there? Okay, while he's looking for Hercules, because you got a glimpse of Hercules, as they call him, Hercules. What's outstanding with the Hercules constellation is that Hercules is in the northern hemisphere. In fact, when we get there, I want to show you something specific about Hercules. The serpent holder is so tall that the serpent holder traverses both north and south hemisphere. Is that going back? Okay, sorry. But he has to go back because he went back. But anyway, the serpent holder covers both north and south hemisphere. And the only constellation that does that, beside the serpent holder, is the constellation that is on the exact opposite of the heavens to the serpent holder. So if it's midday, no, you had it right there. If it's midday and you look up and you see the serpent holder, Well, on the exact opposite side of the earth, where it's midnight, if they look up, they're supposed to see the Orion constellation. The serpent holder is the perfect opposite of the Orion constellation. So wherever, whatever the time is, and you say, oh, there is the serpent holder and it's midnight, well, on the other side of the earth, exact opposite, at midday, the Orion constellation will be in the center of the sky. And how unique that these are the only two constellations that literally traverse both north and south hemisphere of the heavens. The heavens has an equator. It's very easy to understand this. Just say that the earth is a ball. This is key. The earth is a sphere, is a ball. The earth is something solid that we can deal with. Because when I say the heavens has an equator, you may wonder, like, where in the sky is the equator? We have to remember again what we're dealing with when we talk about sky. Like, what color is the sky? Oh, I know. The sky is blue. This is sky blue. But the sky is not necessarily blue. Okay, well, it's black, but it's blue when the sun comes up. All of that is apparent. That's the way it appears. It seems so. Because in reality, when Chicken Little said the sky was falling, I mean, there's no sky to fall. There's no sky. You cannot go up there and say, okay, I'm going to cut out a piece of this sky here, and we're bringing it back to earth. Look, there's the sky. No, there's no sky. You could look forever and try to bring back a piece of sky. You'll never have no sky to bring back. Because the sky does not really exist. What we see as blue, listen to this now, what we see as blue is the ceiling of our atmosphere, the ionosphere. That gives, because of that atmosphere, it gives an impression of the blueness. Remember the sun, you know. The sun is the spectrum of light. The colors of the rainbow. Not just the red, the yellow, and the green. You have the blue, you have the orange, you have the ultraviolet, the purple and everything coming from the sun. When the sun's light, which is known as the visible light from the sun, which is actually measured in millimeters, I think it's 0.0004 millimeters to 0.0007 millimeters. That's how they measure the wavelength of the sun that is known as the visible light. The spectrum of light that we call the rainbow. When the spectrum of light hits the top of our atmosphere, for whatever reason, the color blue remains in the top of the atmosphere or the ionosphere and gives this impression as if the quote-unquote sky is blue. So when you see the seawater, oh, that's a beautiful blue seawater, is the reflection of the sky that's not even really there. Because you cannot take a glass and go in the seawater and bring back no blue water for nobody here. So in the same way that the seawater is not blue, it's alright. In the same way that the seawater is not blue, it's in the same way that the sky is not blue. And the seawater is there, but no sky there. The sky does not exist because the sky specifically is just an image given by the rays of the sun, the visible light. Remember, trust me again, you know, the spectrum of light, the colors of the rainbow, they pass through. You can see the light of the sun. The sun has different waves, X-rays, gamma rays, microwaves. Not the oven, just the microwave. These are different wavelengths of the sun. And there's a specific level of wavelength that you can see the light. This is why when the sun is shining and the rain is sprinkling, the light appears, the rainbow. And the rainbow itself now, see as the brethren have the rainbow and their taman and their kufi. Because the rainbow is not just, even as Ethiopians, and we hold the red, gold, and green high. Even as Bobo Shanti, we serious with the red up. A man could argue from now till whenever. When the rainbow come out, The red stand on top, not for no religious argument, Rasta. That is the symbol of life. You think man have time to curse about a piece of cloth? That is the symbol of life. There are rainbows in here. Right now, right where we are. There's no way no rainbow is not. You cannot go anywhere and the rainbow does not exist. You're looking at darkness and death there. So that's why even if you're outside washing your car, and you take the hose and you make the mist, the rainbow appears right in front of you. But it has always been there. But it took the mist connected with the light of the sun to make it appear. You know? Some woman break your heart or something and you start to cry. Boy, I can't believe she leave me. The mist in your eyes, sometimes the water droplets on your eyelash. You could see the rainbow playing in it. You know, all the tears you're crying because the sun hitting you in the face. And you can actually see the rainbow in your eyes. Don't tell me that never happened to you. So what that means now is that the rainbow is not really something up in the sky. Oh, there is a rainbow. The rainbow is here. But it's not made manifest. It needs the combination of the fire and the water. And believe me, that's almost another subject all by itself as it relates to the male and female fire-water connection rainbow. Yeah, deep stuff. So, I'm showing you now, I said all of that to come to the sky so we could comprehend these things. It's very important to show the connection with the sea and to show that many things that you observe are not exactly what they are. That's why it's called the esoteric science, secret science, hidden messages. Okay. Now since we're on track here, let me jump on this point here quick, even if I left you there hanging. I'll come back to that before this disappears. Hercules now, as they call him. Now I must say this picture that I got it doesn't do the full justice to Hercules because there's supposed to be a crown right here. Remember I said earlier, there are only two crowns in the known collaboration of constellations, the southern crown, and the southern crown is right in front of the archer. As you could see, you saw it, the archer with his arrow pointing at the dragon, and there's a crown right at his feet. Now if you notice, Hercules has a sword. Hercules is like kneeling down with his hand stretched out and his sword, as if he's ready to kill somebody. But what's unique about Hercules, he's not in the Zodiac belt. But he has a crown. To me that's outstanding. As if, okay, he's not in the belt, but there's still something extremely unique about this constellation. He has a crown. Who is the Hercules going to kill? Right here. That's Hercules at the top. That's Hercules up here. So Hercules is here. That's the serpent holder. And the serpent holder is standing on the scorpion. And just behind the scorpion is the archer. Remember, the archer has his arrow and his bow and arrow, I should say, pointing at the scorpion, ready to dig up the scorpion so he doesn't eat up the man-child as soon as it was born. But I get the impression that the serpent holder is assisting the archer. As if the archer is saying, hold it, don't make him get away, I have him. And the serpent holder is standing on him, I have him, man, I have him, go ahead, take your best shot. But while the serpent holder is telling the archer that, the serpent holder has a big anaconda in his hand. And right above his head is a man with a sword and a crown. And the man with the sword, just the same way he has his hand stretched out here, you can see the hand stretched out here as if ready to hold the neck of the same serpent that the serpent holder is holding. This is in the northern sky. And if you see this live, trust me, even I speaking to you, unless you see it, you will not understand the magnitude of it. This stuff stretches across the whole sky. The picture, beautiful picture. But the point is now, it's obvious, first of all, that these three individuals are obviously doing a similar work. It's undeniable that they're working together. The one in the middle, he is not holding any weapons. The archer, the most southern zodiac belt constellation, I repeat these points so they stick if you don't know them. The archer, which is the most southern zodiac belt constellation, he has weapons. He's a fighter. He's ready to spill blood. The Hercules man, the northern constellation with the crown, he has his sword. He's ready to spill blood as well. But the man in the middle, he don't have no weapons, but he's a bad man. Okay, he's standing on the stinger and he holding venom in his hands without any weapon whatsoever. And he just waiting on the two kings to slew them. Now this is something again that is really undeniable.
Oh, so what you're trying to tell me it means?
I never say what it means. But what I know is that you cannot deny that the heavens is declaring the glory.